Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my channel. I'm Abdurrahman and you're watching Reflecting with Abdi. In last week's episode, I spoke about why it's incredibly important that you put your trust in Allah. And for this week, I want to speak about two different topics, both of which I think are incredibly important, and it took me a long while to figure both out, but I do feel like if this is a lesson that you take on board, it could definitely change your life. And both of these are lessons which I took from reflecting during the last couple of weeks. And the first one is, there is nothing like peace of mind. No amount of money is worth giving up peace of mind. And I remember there's been some times within my life in which I've been incredibly stressed. I've been anxious. I felt like I just didn't feel calm. And I contrast that and the way I felt compared to how I felt in the last couple of weeks especially. And nothing is worth giving up peace of mind. And I feel like people who would disagree with that point are people who haven't felt high levels of stress before. And if you're a person that can relate to what that feels like, it's a horrible feeling. And I wouldn't wish that on people. So there is nothing like peace of mind. And I remember when I had that thought, I was just in my room relaxing, and I thought to myself, now that I'm in my holiday, I've completed my exams, all of that's passed me, alhamdulillah, I've got my pass, I don't have to think about that anymore. I was just in my room relaxing, and I didn't have any obligations left for that day. And it felt so beautiful, so lovely just to be able to just relax, not to have to worry about anything. Knowing that I've completed the things I needed to do, and now I can just do whatever I want. And that feeling of just peace, of just serenity, of just being able to be present in the moment, nothing is worth giving that up for. And when I reflected upon that, it really made me think. There's so many different paths you can take in your life, especially if you're a hard-working, ambitious person. There's so many different paths you can take. But every path requires a level of sacrifice. Every path requires a level of sacrifice. Whenever you say yes to something, you're saying no to many other things. And that's the opportunity cost that we are faced with. So in my case, I'm in medical school. Inshallah, I'll be starting 4th year in a few weeks. There's so many different paths I can take within medicine alone, and each one will require a level of sacrifice. If I want to become a surgeon, there will be so much sacrifice that I would need to do in order to be able to get within that specialty. So the question remains is, will the sacrifice be worth it? And that's something that's been on my mind a lot recently. Now that I've experienced what it feels like to be in a lot of stress, and also what it feels like to be at peace, to just be able to relax, I'm finding it more difficult to justify to myself a level of self-sacrifice that would require me to get rid of that feeling of peace, because I don't see it being worth it. And an interesting thing is, when we are discussing careers and different life choices, if we take the example of students who go into, let's say, banking. I'm not going to name any companies, but let's say they go into a prestigious banking firm. It's common knowledge that many of those students who have worked so long, so hard, been to a prestigious university, and eventually found themselves in a bank, end up being burnt out within a couple of years and take a completely different path. What's interesting is those very people who chose to make that sacrifice to get there must have known beforehand the level of sacrifice that would be required to stay within such an industry. Yet they chose that path, most likely due to the benefits that came along the way, which were mostly financial compensation. But for many of them, they realized that financial compensation is not enough, is not worth the sacrifice of giving up your free time, giving up peace of mind, giving up spending time with your family, with your friends, missing out on important life events, giving up your weekends, constantly being told that you need to speak to this client, you need to speak to that client, working hours upon hours upon hours, day after day after day after day. And I feel like self-sacrifice is the price that you have to pay if you want to be exceptionally great at one thing. But the more I reflect on this, the more I wonder, is it worth it? And I'm speaking to people who are hardworking, ambitious people who started their own businesses, who go to prestigious universities, who work incredibly hard within their given field. And I'm wondering more and more, is that level of self-sacrifice worth it? Because the rewards that would come with being exceptionally great within a given field are financial compensation, status, and a level of fulfillment, depending on the person. And that could potentially be worth it for somebody. If you just absolutely love something, like let's say you love martial arts, absolutely love it, that's your whole life. And let's say within martial arts, you are completely obsessed with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's your whole life. That's all you want to do. That's all you think about all day long. Then perhaps the sacrifice that would come along with you trying to become the best possible Jiu-Jitsu player might be worth it. Perhaps. But the more I think about this, the more I'm realizing, for myself specifically, that level of self-sacrifice required to get to number one in a given field might not be worth it. Because as you progress within a ladder, the competition becomes greater and greater and greater. And to surpass those people, what you need to be doing is sacrificing more than they are. If we're thinking about athletes, I'll give the example of Kobe Bryant. He would go to the gym earlier than everybody. He'd train much more than everyone. If we think about Mike Tyson, he'd go on runs 4 in the morning because he knew the person that he would fight against, the competition, were not doing what he was doing. So the game really is a game of self-sacrifice. How much are you willing to give up in order to get to where you want to get to? And now that I've tasted what self-sacrifice would feel like, 3 years of medical school and other pursuits as well as life, I'm not sure if that level of self-sacrifice is worth it in the long run. However, I do recognize that it's not black and white. The level of fulfillment that you could get potentially from becoming the best at what you do could be enough to compensate for that. However, I do believe that the key is not the status and money that goes alongside it. But if you love something for the sake of loving it, for the sake of mastering it, then that could be enough to justify that self-sacrifice. So in that sense, perhaps it's not that self-sacrifice is not worth it, but rather is what you giving up worth giving up for? Is that self-sacrifice that you'd have to make worth giving up for? And that's an interesting thought. And you can try to think about your own life. Think about the sacrifices that you make in your own life for education, for your career. Is that worth it? Is that time that you spend away from friends and family, away from your hobbies, worth it for you? The answer could be yes, the answer could be no. But it just depends on the person. And for myself, I'm not sure if it is. For now, at least. Because it could all change. Perhaps you end up taking a different route in your life. Going to a different career. Pursuing something else. And perhaps that thing, self-sacrifice, would justify itself. But one thing I have learned without question is when it comes to peace of mind, there's nothing worth giving up peace of mind for. No amount of money can justify being stressed 24/7, not being able to sleep, waking up numerous times in the night. Nothing is worth giving up your peace of mind. And that's the first reflection that I've given a lot of thought to this week. And a few days ago, I had a aha moment, which I want to share with you. And when it happened, it's almost as if a problem I was trying to solve, the answer was just given to me right there and then. So there's numerous things that I'm within my own life trying to improve and better. And that process can be frustrating because results within any field, within education, within martial arts, within exercise resistance training, within business, within any pursuit worth pursuing. Patience is key because results take a long time. And that process can be very frustrating. So I was outside when I was about to commute to the gym, and I was listening to Quran, and there was an ayah that just, I was listening to it, but I wasn't being super attentive. I just had my headphones in. I was listening to it on my commute. But the thought, my thoughts were in large part still thinking about the things I know I need to work on. And then an ayah of Quran resonated with me a lot, and I just had to pause, and I just had to think about it for a long time. And it was immediately an aha moment. This is what I've been missing. And I'll paraphrase it because I can't remember the exact ayah, and I'm not gonna, for that reason I can't say the actual ayah. But from what I remember, it was to do with an ayah related to, if you are grateful, Allah will increase you in your blessings. I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact ayah. I remember just listening to it, and that just shook me immediately. I just had to stop and think about it. So that's the piece that I've been missing this entire time. Instead of focusing on the things I'm lacking, instead of focusing on the things I need to be improving on, I should have given more thought, more time towards the things that Allah has blessed me with. I should have given more time to reflecting on the things I'm grateful for, and being grateful for more things than I am. And that could have been the key. And through that process, Allah's so generous that just by being grateful for what He has given you, Allah will increase your blessings. And when I heard that ayah, immediately I was just in awe. Like, this is what I've been missing. This entire time I gave so much thought, time and attention to the things I've been missing, when in reality it was all in front of me. I've been giving so much thought to trying to improve this thing about myself, this thing in my life. I need to work on this, without me taking a moment to look around and realize I've been blessed in so many different ways. So rather than giving my time and attention towards the things I've been blessed with, I've been constantly thinking about, I need to get more, I need to do more, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, without looking at what I already had. And when I heard the ayah of the Quran, it's like my whole mindset shifted in that moment. It changed how I thought. Because Allah has blessed me in so many ways. Allah has blessed me in so many ways, and it's unfortunate that I'm not giving enough time to be grateful for my blessings. Instead, I'm giving time, far too much time, thinking about ways I can better myself and I can improve my life. And there's nothing wrong with trying to better yourself, to improve yourself. But what's the point if you don't take time out to be grateful for what you have? The very fact that you are able to listen to this, that you're able to see me talk right now, is a blessing. There's so many people around the world who don't have that blessing. But how many times have I reflected on that fact? How many times have you reflected on that fact? We don't give enough time to reflect on the blessings that Allah has given us. And it's unfortunate. And I'm the number one culprit for this. This is something that I need to improve greatly. Rather than focusing on the things I don't have, I need to be grateful for what I have. And with everything that's happening around the world, there's not a time when you or I, as a Muslim, should be more grateful for the things I have. I'm a Muslim living in the West, and I have an education, and I'm healthy. I'm able to do so many things. I'm not worried about my safety. I'm so blessed, but I don't give that enough thought. I don't give enough time to thinking about and being grateful for what Allah has blessed me with. Instead, all my attention has just gone towards, how can I be better? How can I do this? How can I get more money? How can I improve my grades? How can I gain more muscle? How can I speak better? How can I read more books? How can I learn more? All these things, which are not bad things, they are good things. It's good that I'm trying to improve myself. But there's so many things Allah has blessed me with. It's almost arrogant on my part for me to completely overlook those things, not even give it a thought, and just focus on things that I don't have. And the most beautiful thing is, and this just shows how generous Allah is, how merciful Allah is. If you are grateful for what Allah has blessed you with, Allah will give you even more. That's how generous Allah Azza wa Jal is. And when I thought about that, I just thought, I've been in the wrong this entire time. I needed to shift my mindset away from the things that I don't have and just think about the things I've been blessed with. Alhamdulillah. And linking this to what I mentioned last week, if you're a person that can implement these things, implement having trust in Allah, complete trust in Allah, as well as being grateful for what Allah has blessed you with, then your life will transform without question. Without question. Because Allah increases your blessings when you're grateful. And if you put your trust in Allah, Allah does not forsake the believers. And if you're able to implement those two things into your life, I guarantee you, your life will transform. So those are my reflections from this week. If you found it beneficial, please give it a like, comment, let me know any topics that I should speak on, anything I should improve regarding my videos, any suggestions that you have. Make sure you subscribe if you're on YouTube. Same thing with Apple Podcast and wherever you're listening from. Thank you very much for listening to this. I've been your boy Abdurrahman. You listen to Reflecting with Abdi. And if you found this beneficial, make sure you share it with anyone you think could find benefit. I wish you the best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.